What's up, guys? So today we have a little experiment to do with snare drum. When you replace things on your snare drum, typically you'll replace the batter head, especially if you have never really replaced anything, or you're in college and you don't have a lot of money, or you just don't have the time to replace anything. Typically the first thing you always replace is your batter head. The second thing you'll always replace is your reso head. Occasionally that'll either bust, or you'll just realize that the factory head is too old and you don't want to risk anything happening, so you just replace that thing anyway. And then the last thing anyone ever replaces is the snare wires. And those are typically last because no one really thinks about that. I know when I was in high school I wasn't thinking about snare wires being a major sound to the snare drum. Don't know why I didn't think about that. But today we're going to do a little experiment. We're going to do a sound demo between each change. So first I'm going to change the batter head, and then I'm going to change the reso head, and then the snare wires. And then with each change I'm going to do a sound demo in between. So first I'm going to show you what the drum sounds like now, with no changes. Old batter head. I think this is actually the stock reso head, and then the stock snares. Going to change the top, sound demo, and just keep going from there. So what I'm changing to, I currently have a Powerstroke P77 on the snare. I'm just putting another one on. I've been using the Powerstroke P77 now for a couple months and I've loved it. Just beautiful snare drum head. Sounds amazing, easy to tune. Then I am replacing the bottom head with the Ambassador Hazy. Gonna just switch it out. This is pretty much the stock Remo snare side head. This is the one you put on pretty much everything. I mean, I have had it on every single snare drum I've owned, and it's worked every single time. So, you know, solid head. And then, for the first time ever, I am replacing the snare wires to these Pure Sound 14-inch twisted 20 strands, which I guess technically it's 40 strands because they're twisted in between, but 20 strand wires. And yeah, so we're going to start changing these out. I'm going to do a sound demo first of what it sounds like now, and we'll work our way from there. So let's do this. So that was the new batter side. It did exactly what I expected. There's more tone, there's a little bit more life to the drum. I mean, yeah, it's changing the batter head. You're gonna get a better sound when you do that. Especially after a while. That last one has been on for way too long. So, let's now change the resonant side and see what comes from that. Alright, so that was the resonant head. I will say this, as far as consistency goes, that probably wasn't the best because I messed up a little bit on the snare strainer. The settings weren't exactly the same as I wanted them to be, which is a bummer, but you know, it worked out. I will say, for every time I've changed out the resonant head, the snare response has always been better because those indentions, those grooves where the snare strainers have been, are not there anymore. And it's always a little bit more durable and more crisp whenever I get it. So, for what it's worth, that's what I always find whenever I change the reso head. But that was the sound check for that. So let's do one more thing. Let's change out the snare wires and see what we get. So there you have it. That is all things exchanged and changed and rearranged. So that's it. And the most interesting thing I found about changing out everything is the batter head. The batter head did exactly what I thought it would. The reso head did pretty much what I thought it would. The snare wires, it changed the sound a good bit, and it made it sound different, and it made it sound better in certain ways. I'm going to have to take some time and really dial in some of the parts. But what was weird is that the feel of coming off the head felt a little bit different. It felt like the snare wires were pushing in a little bit more and holding a little more solid. That may be because it's technically double the strands that I normally use. It may be because the thing is a lot heavier and bulkier. It may be just because I haven't tuned it up and gotten it the certain way that I need it. In either sense, it made a change. So, that's it. That's what it is. Take it for what it's worth. Hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, you know, all the things. And I will see you guys in the next video.